Hello guys, my name is Prince and this is Math Center. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Post your comments and questions on my social media handles and I'll respond to it.
We are on the topic fractions. In the previous video, we took an example on solving practical problems involving fractions. In this video, we are going to take another example on solving practical problems involving fraction. So let's look at the question in this example. Kwesi spent 1/5 of his monthly salary on food, 1/2 of the remaining on rent, and 1/4 of what still remained on fuel. If he still had 240 Ghana cedis left, A. Find his monthly salary. B. How much did he spend on food? C. How much did he spend on rent? So the question is telling us that Kwesi, who is probably a monthly worker or a government worker, took his monthly salary and he spent 1/5 of it on food. Then he spent 1/2 of the remaining, what remained after he has spent on food, he spent 1/2 of that on rent. Then what remained after he has spent on rent, he spent 1/4 of that on fuel. Then after the whole thing, he still had 240 Ghana cedis left on him. So we are being told to A. Find his monthly salary, B. Find how much he spent on food, and C. We will find how much he spent on rent. So let's begin. Once again, since we don't know his monthly salary, and that is the main thing we have to look for here, we represent that with a variable y. So we say that let y be Kwesi's monthly salary. Then we know that the amount left after spending on fuel is 240 Ghana cedis. So after spending on fuel, he still had 240 Ghana cedis left on him. So now, our main goal is that since 240 Ghana cedis is the amount left after spending on fuel, this is in terms of actual money, since we have 240 Ghana cedis here. We need to find the amount left after spending on fuel in terms of fractions so that we can equate that to the amount of money left after spending on fuel in terms of actual money. Remember in the previous video, we saw that whenever you have something like this, what has been given to you in the question, you find that in terms of fraction, then you equate it to that. Here, what has been given to us is the amount of money left after spending on fuel. We know that to be 240 Ghana cedis. So you find the amount of money left after spending on fuel in terms of fractions, then we equate that to this. So let's begin. The question told us that Kwesi spent 1/5 of his monthly salary on food. So from here we can see that the amount he spent on food is 1/5 of his monthly salary. We have now let his monthly salary be y, so we will know that this will give us 1/5 of y. 1/5 of y will give us 1/5 times y, which is the same as y/1. Then this will give us y/5. Since we have 1 times y to give us y, 5 times 1 to give us 5. Now, after spending on food, there will be a remainder. The remainder after spending on food will be his monthly salary minus what he spent on food. Because he had his monthly salary, he spent 1/5 of it on food. So that was his first expenditure. He spent 1/5 of the monthly salary on food. So if you want the remainder after that, it's going to be his monthly salary minus the amount he spent on food. His monthly salary is y. The amount he spent on food is y/5. So y minus y/5. We do the computation here. We know that y is the same as y/1, then minus y/5. The LCM is 5. 5 divided by 1 is 5 times y will give us 5y, minus 5 divided by 5 is 1 times y will give us y. From addition and subtraction of algebraic expressions, we know that 5y minus y will give us 4y divided by 5. So this is the amount left after spending on food in terms of fractions. Now the question went on to say that he spent 1/2 of the remainder on rent. What remainder? The remainder is the amount left after spending on food. Remember, he did not spend 1/2. He did not spend 1/2 of the monthly salary. He spent 1/2 of the remainder. The remainder in this case is the amount left after spending on food. So 1/2 of the remainder after spending on food is what he spent on rent. So if you want what you spent on rent, it is 1/2 of the remainder after spending on food. So 1/2 of, you know that the remainder after spending on food is 4y/5. So from here you have 1/2 times 4y/5. So 2 will cancel itself 1 and cancel 4 2 times. So from here we know that we have 1/1 times, since 4 has been cancelled to 2, we have 2y/5, and this will give us 2y/5. So the amount he spent on rent is 2y/5. Now after spending this, there will still be a remainder. The remainder in this case will be the remainder after spending on food minus the amount he spent on rent. Now this is what it means. You see, we can see from here that this is the amount he spent on rent. This is the amount, the remainder after spending on food, 4y/5. The remainder after spending on food is 4y/5. So actually this is the money he has left after spending on food. So that is what he has in hand. Then from here we have seen that he spent 2y/5 of that on rent. So if you want the remainder, what is remaining? It is what he had in hand before paying for the rent, which is the remainder after spending on food, minus what he spent on rent. So what he had in hand after spending on food was 4y/5. What he spent on rent was 2y/5. So if you want the remainder after spending on rent, it's going to be 4y/5 minus 2y/5. So from here you find the LCM, 5 and 5. The LCM is going to be 5, obviously. So 5 divided by 5 will give us 1 times 4y, which is 4y. Then minus 5 divided by 5 will give us 1 times 2y, which is 2y. So 4y minus 2y, from algebra, we know that to be 2y/5. So after spending on rent, this is the amount he has in his hand. So this is the amount he has in his hand before moving on to his next expenditure, which is fuel. So the amount spent on fuel, it says that it is 1/4 of what still remained. What still remained after he has spent on rent, which is 2y/5. So the amount spent on fuel is 1/4 of what still remains after he has spent on rent, which is 1/4 of the remaining after spending on rent. We know that the remainder after spending on rent is 2y/5. So the amount spent on fuel is 1/4 of 2y/5. 2 will cancel itself 1 and cancel 4 2 times. So we have 1/2 times 2 is cancelled, so 2/5. And this will give us y/10. So from here we have seen that the amount after spending on rent is 2y/5. So that was what he had in hand before coming to spend on fuel. Then he spent y/10 on fuel. So if you want what is left, it's going to be the amount after spending on rent, which is 2y/5. That was what he had in hand, minus the amount he spent on fuel, which is y/10. So you are going to have 2y/5 minus y/10. So we find the LCM of 5 and 10, which is 10. 10 divided by 5 will give us 2. 2 times 2y will give us 4y. Then minus 10 divided by 10 will give us 1 times y will give us y. 4y minus y will give us 3y. Then divided by 10. So you can see from here that you have been able to find the amount of money left after spending on fuel. Remember, in the question we saw that the amount of money left after spending on fuel was 240 Ghana cedis. We have been able to find that in terms of fractions. So in terms of fractions, the amount of money left after spending on fuel is 3y over 10. In terms of actual money, the amount of money left after spending on fuel is 240 Ghana cedis. So we can equate both of them. So we equate 3y over 10 to 240. We multiply both sides by 10. So it's going to be 10 times 3y over 10. So as we can see here, we are going to have 10 times 3y over 10. So this is going to be multiplied by 10. So 10 times 3y over 10. Then you multiply this side also by 10. Now, from here you will see that 10 will cancel 10. So you are going to have 3y to be equal to 240 times 10. So you divide both sides by 3. If you watch the video on solving linear equations, you will understand why we are doing this. So you divide this side by 3. You divide this side by also 3. So 3 will cancel 3. You have y. 240 times 10 will give us 2,400 divided by 3. So y will give us 800. So we can say, remember that y is the amount Kwesi's monthly salary. So you can say that Kwesi's monthly salary is 800 Ghana cedis. So the main thing that you have to look for here is to look at what the question gave you in terms of actual money. Here it is the amount left after spending on fuel. Then you find that in terms of fractions and you equate both of them. So this is the A part of the question. The B part tells us to find the amount of money he spent on food. Now you know that for the amount of money he spent on food in terms of fractions is 5y over y over 5, as we saw in previous example. Y over 5 is the amount of money left he spent on food in terms of fractions. But this time you don't need it in terms of fractions because you have already found y in terms of actual value, and you know that y is 800. So you are going to have 800 divided by 5, which is 160. So we can see that Kwesi spent 160 Ghana cedis on food. Then the question told us to find the amount of money he spent on rent. In terms of fraction, the amount of money he spent on rent is 2y over 10. You have found y to be 800. So you place y with 800. So you are going to have 2 times, here was 2 times y, so it's going to be 2 times 800 divided by 500. 2 times 800 will give us 1,600 divided by 500. 1,600 divided by 500 will give us 320. So you can see that Kwesi spent 320 Ghana cedis on rent. Try and use this same principle to find the amount of money he spent on fuel. Now remember, if you add the amount of money he spent on fuel to the amount of money he spent on rent to the amount of money he spent on food, and you subtract that from his monthly salary, you are supposed to get 240 Ghana cedis, since that is what the question told us. See you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching this video. In the next video, we are going to take another example on solving practical problems involving fractions. Bye bye.